The Lexington-Fayette Urban County Government has a 10% goal in the procurement of services with minority and women-owned businesses. So part of my responsibilities for this program have to do with training and development. Most of our training that we do here is based on certification, because I think that that's really important. Right now we have a database through our economic engine that has over 2,000 minority and women-owned businesses. At this point, they self-certify their companies as minority or women-owned businesses. So the certification classes are designed so that we can begin to work with companies that are certified. And let me explain what certification means. Certification verifies that your company is 51% owned, operated, managed, and controlled by either a woman or a minority group. So it's a non-minority female or minority group, which is African American, Hispanic American, Native American, Indian, or Asian groups. And so there's the certification process goes through, takes a look at the business organization, there's a site visit that's involved, and those companies are then certified by an outside certifying agency. So when I send out lists to people, I know that those companies are truly certified. I know that they are minority and women-owned businesses that are actually operating their own business. And so the classes that we have are generally designed around the certification.
U.S. Lawns is a franchise of professional lawn care maintenance and management based out of Orlando, Florida. We have roughly 250 locations around the U.S. and we're part of one of the largest landscape management companies in the world called Valley Crest. But we're a separate entity from Valley Crest. So, but all the franchises, this is a totally owned franchise company. There are no private corporate-owned entities in U.S. Lawns. It's all 100% franchises. So I'm happy to be a part of that. New in the Lexington area, they had a franchise here about 6 years ago to cover some large accounts that U.S. Lawns had, but they're no longer here. So I bought the franchise in 2010, last August, and so far it's been very well. When I first started, they had a seminar on how to start a business. So I wanted to see how to start a business. So I went down there just to see them, just to get an idea of what to do. And I found out that most of the services were free. And a lot of things that you can do and a lot of the help that you needed to build a business plan and to get your books together, they offer those services free. So I pretty much took advantage of it and worked on my business plan with Sean Moore. And I already had a business plan started, but he kind of helped me get it over the hump to present to U.S. Lawns when I wanted to go into the franchise. So that experience was great, knowing that it was free and they were really willing to help you. And a lot of people weren't taking advantage of it, so I had a lot of face time with my rep. So it was a great experience, and I still try to keep in contact with them because they helped me so far along in starting the process. In this industry, whether you're marketing, whether you're a franchise, whatever you are, it comes down to who you know. And when I started working with the Small Business Association, they said that, look at getting certified, working with the state and working with the cities and working with the communities. And one way to get into the door is look at the certification process. So I started that process early, and I wanted to do it just to get an opportunity to get in the door. We're not going to win every bid, but we want the opportunity to get in there. And the certification process, which looks kind of threatening on paper, I was fortunate to have a small business where a lot of my books were pretty much kept up to date. So that process was fairly simplified. So I just went through the list with the help of Marilyn and some of the other people in the Small Business Association, just going through that process. And so I was able to get my certifications fairly quickly I got them back in one in March and the other one, I guess, in April, I think it was. So I started the process early. The application process is fairly intimidating, and what Marilyn was able to do is take each page and go through that list and show us how to fill out that information, what they're actually looking for, and how to follow those procedures step by step. And because, you know, there's one page in there where it says the order of everything that has to be when you send your application in. And if you don't, they're going to send it back. And there are a lot of places and a lot of sheets and forms that you have to fill out. And without someone making sure that you do that, follow that procedure exactly, you know, you end up getting back into the system where they send it back to you. So she was able to go through each one of those steps to make sure that we follow the procedure correctly and have all the paperwork in order, and to make sure the process is quickly and efficient. So Marilyn was able to go through even just I think it was a 3-hour class, to look at each page and say it's not as bad as you think it is. You have the information. You just need to make sure that you have it in the order that they're looking for. And she was correct. When it's time for the interview, everything was, they just made a phone call, they called me, and we set up the interview, and the process was pretty easy. Well, the expectations is like what we all look for, opportunities. And not necessarily advantages, but opportunities. So to have Toyota and some of the other larger companies here to see what is available out there outside of the bigger companies, but the smaller companies out there providing the same services that some of the larger companies are, and we're capable of doing it. So all we're looking for is an opportunity to get in front of some of those companies to say, hey, we're here, that we can do some of the things that they're looking for. And all we're looking for is an opportunity to bid on that process. So that's what I'm looking for in the expo. And so I have a booth set up, so I get an opportunity to talk to people about what U.S. Lawns can do, what we have done, and what we're expected to do in the future.
We're a company that was started here in Lexington in my laundry room. I started with one person 7 years ago, working 10 hours a week. We do promotional items, apparel, anything you can imagine with your name on it. Some of our industry segments that we specialize in would be healthcare, higher education, manufacturing. We work with Christian youth camps. Just really anyone is a customer that is in business. Most people do things with their name on it. I am a certified woman-owned business through the Women's Business Enterprise Council, and that is a certification that our city in Lexington accepts. I was already certified, and through this agency, and as a matter of fact, I am on the certification review board for this particular agency. And so we meet in Cincinnati once a month on Wednesdays, and I go up and review other people that are applying for certification, and then I do site visits here in Lexington when there's a site visit required if it's someone that I don't know. One of the things that about Weebink is it is the #1 certifying agency in the country, and I say that it's the most widely accepted. If you look at Fortune 500 companies, that's what most of them accept, is Weebink's certification. And what we look for is verification of data. We make sure that if someone says they're a woman-owned business, they're really a woman-owned business, and it is quite the process. It's a stack of paperwork that it's about a ream of paper, but you have to provide information. First of all, like you're starting with your birth certificate, driver's license, documentation that you as the female owner are the one that's the, where the funds came from for the startup of the company. It has to be at least 51% owned. So we also have to look at, depending on how your company's structured, if it's an LLC or if it's a corporation, we have to look at the stocks, but we want to make sure that it is controlled, managed, and ran primarily by women, or by a woman, at least 51% of it. If the person says they have expertise in a particular field, they have that expertise. And if there's additional documentation that we need verified, we verify that. We even verify the location. Some of the things we look for, is there a sign? Do they really exist? Are they really there? And since this is a category that is in a minority category, which didn't exist at one time, that it would be extremely advantageous for any woman business owner to have it. It has been so helpful to me in my company. When I first started my business, I was very involved in Commerce Lexington, and Raymond Smith was over supplier diversity there. And I went to him and I said, Raymond, what would you suggest I do? I'm just starting my company. And he was the first one that mentioned to me certification and just told me the names of some companies that he knew had supplier diversity programs in place. So having my certification does not guarantee business, but it opens the doors. I have to keep it open by being competitive with price and giving great service and being a good business owner. But what I did with my certification was I took it and I ran with it. And I looked for companies that had supplier diversity programs, and I called on them, I registered with them. And actually, when I started, as I told you, I started my company 7 years ago. There's one company that's a Fortune 500 company that's here local, that since I got my certification almost 7 years ago, I've been trying 7 years, I just completed my first order with them and just delivered this week. So you also have to be persistent. It's not a golden ticket, but it certainly opens doors, and it's one of the single most productive things I have done in opening my company, besides offering the level of service we do. When I go to any event, there are several things I look for. Obviously, being a business owner, you like to get your face and name out there. So that's on the selfish side. On the business part of me, you want to do that. Also, just like to gather information. I want to see who's out there, what they're doing, find out where there might be opportunities for me, talk to other people, just to talk to people that are in my circumstances that are in my season in business, that can kind of tell me the things that they are succeeding with or struggling through. So and just to kind of get a little jump start, and just to be encouraged, just to see what other people are out there doing. I think that's always an encouragement.